In a neighborhood where all dreams do is die, 16-year-old James, a lost child, struggles to survive amidst Kensington's engulfing drug addiction, crime, and poverty. Abandoned and isolated, James's life descended into darkness when he was diagnosed with cancer, a cruel twist for a child already lost in a sick world. The alleys of the city became a disturbing reflection of the shadows that had consumed his existence, and the torment he endured at school echoed the harsh realities of his abusive home. Lying on a frigid hospital bed, the rhythmic beeping of machines created a morbid soundtrack to go with his struggle. James's frail body waged war against the relentless onslaught of the disease, transforming his mind into a battlefield of anger and resentment. Whispers of taunts and laughter tore through the corridors of his mind, and James, once an innocent spirit, succumbed to a dark rage. Like vultures, people feasted on his suffering, leaving scars etched into the very fabric of his consciousness. However, the absence of his parents, trapped in the clutches of addiction, dragged him deeper into depression. As the pain in his body intensified, so did James's thirst for revenge. Lying in bed, gazing out at the rain-distorted world, he envisioned a realm where those who had tormented him would suffer. At this ominous juncture, amid the decaying walls of the hospital, an otherworldly force intervened. Lightning-like energy collided with the crumbling structure, unleashing an explosive force that tore through the hospital. James felt his body lifted off the hospital bed, the room disintegrating around him as the energy's power propelled him downward, crashing through each level, obliterating everything in its path as it cut through the structure like a hot blade through butter. Debris and dust enveloped him as he descended through the collapsing floors. His vision blurred with each impact, his body battered, bruised, and broken. Finally, he crashed onto an unknown hospital floor, long abandoned. The energy, now entwined with him, spoke with a voice echoing in James's tortured mind.
I need your emotions to feel alive. Accept me, and I will grant you the power of a god.
James begged the energy to let him die. However, the energy promised to bestow upon him immense power, the power of a god, in exchange for the emotions it so desperately craved.
I understand your pain, lost child, but in embracing me, you will transcend this suffering. I offer you the strength to reshape your destiny, to be more than the lost child you are.
Caught amid destruction and the energy's ominous offer, James felt torn between the desire to end his suffering and the alluring promise of unimaginable power.
Sounds good. However, my bag's been packed, so just let me go.
Accept me.
The energy, persistent in its plea, looked to convince James that this fusion would not only bring an end to his agony, but also grant him control over forces beyond mortal comprehension.
Dying will not end your pain. Embrace me, and together we will forge a new existence. You'll command the energy, shape reality, and become a god to the beings on your planet.
As the echoes of the crumbling hospital reverberated in the dim space, James grappled with the weight of the decision laid before him, a choice between the peace of death and the intriguing promise of godlike power, entwined with an entity yearning for the very emotions he sought to escape.
Accept me.
Moments before dripping the last drop of blood he had left to spare, revenge compelled James to accept the energy's offer. As he did, his flesh melted away as he screamed in agony.
Ah! Ah!
The room lit up with the radiance of unimaginable power.
Every power grid in the world is at your fingertips, James. You can plunge it into chaos, watch it wither, die slowly, or save it. The world is yours.
Why should I save a world that has only brought me pain and suffering?
Lost child. In your hands lies the power to be their salvation or doom.
The energy showed James what the world would be like if he destroyed the power grids. Chaos and despair unfolded. Cities plunged into anarchy, their once bustling streets haunted by the shadows of lawlessness, hunger, and suffering. The absence of electricity rendered the world powerless, leaving its inhabitants to navigate the abyss of their own making. In James's vision, people cried out in desperation, their faces contorted with fear and anguish. Hospitals fell into disarray, unable to provide necessary care for the sick and injured. The absence of communication led to widespread panic and confusion. Stripped of its comforts, the world descended into a spiral of madness.
Why did you show me this?
To feel the full range of your emotions. I cannot see the future but show it as I picture it.
So, just like my tormentors, you are here to feed on my suffering.
The energy continued showing him a potential future. A twisted satisfaction flickered in James's eyes as he saw the world crumbling. The tormentors who had once danced in his suffering now faced their nightmares. Their cities burned, their structures collapsed, and their powerlessness mirrored the helplessness he once felt.
Lost child. Their suffering, their despair. Yours to orchestrate.
James hesitated. The images before him, though satisfying, were beyond his desire for revenge. James only wanted to hurt those who hurt him. The energy revealed the purpose behind bringing him to this floor, blue and gold armor. Crafted by an advanced civilization, this armor would grant them a constant form, shield those around them from radiation coming from their now shared body, and make them visible to enemies, as without it, their presence could blind anything on the planet. The energy proudly declared,
This armor is not to protect us from them, it is to protect them from us.
As the armor tore from the walls, it enveloped James. His reflection in the debris revealed the blue and gold armor. Meanwhile, above the wreckage of the hospital, paramedics, police officers, and firefighters were trying to find people buried. However, 0 bodies were found. Cries poured out through Kensington while rescue teams came out empty-handed. As James appeared from the ruins of the hospital encased in armor, the junkies in the zombie-like streets sobered up quickly due to fear. James hovered above the wreckage, looking around and vividly remembering praying to God before becoming one. The media caught wind of the chaos as people in the vicinity started going live, capturing the surreal scene unfolding before them. Social media platforms flooded with videos of the destruction and the enigmatic figure soaring above the ruins. Some guessed what they saw. Some said he was an alien, a god, or a titan, while others coined the term Phillies Titan as a nod to the city where he was discovered. Emergency broadcasts crackled through radios and screens, warning residents to stay indoors and avoid the newly emerged godlike figure. Questions buzzed as witnesses and news outlets struggled to understand the events. Emergency services, already overwhelmed by calls, now faced a force beyond their understanding. The energy responded to James's emotion, amplifying the awe-inspiring display of power, sending lightning-like energy into transformers and exploding them, turning Kensington into an abyss of darkness. The energy gave a reminder of the armor he now wore, a tool designed not to protect him from the world, but to protect the world from the power of the energy he wields. James threw his helmet with a casual,
Say less,
intertwining with the energy in a mesmerizing display of raw power. He turned into a bolt of energy and ripped through the onlookers, leaving nothing but silence in his wake. The energy became intoxicated in James's overwhelming emotions, feeling more alive than it had in centuries. James's armor flew to him, reassembling around his form. Curiously, James picked up a phone from a corpse and went online to see the world's reaction. James saw a name given to him by social media before he filled the streets with blood. Phillies Titan. The energy felt James's emotion and said,
Let us go by Phillies Titan. I like that.
Yeah, I do too. For how long is this power mine?
Until you want to die.
Who would want to die with this power?
The last being that has harnessed my power. Let me show you.
The energy took control, projecting vivid images into his mind. James was immersed in the memories of a figure who had wielded the same godlike abilities. The energy showed James a world in ruins, a desolate landscape devoid of life. Cities lay in ruins, their once glorious structures reduced to rubble. The remnants of civilization crumbled under the weight of chaos, and the echoes of agony resonated through the barren wasteland. As James delved deeper into these haunting visions, he saw the toll of unchecked power. The being who had harnessed the energy before him had succumbed to the darkness within, unleashing destruction without restraint. The energy showed James the isolation and despair that plagued the last wielder of its power. The being decided to die by asking the energy to leave him. As James saw this tragic tale, he felt a surge of empathy for the lost soul who had come before him. Suddenly, Kensington's dark streets were lit by sirens and lights from helicopters. Police rushed towards James, aiming guns, demanding his surrender. However, laughter, cold and unhinged, echoed through the darkened street.
Take me somewhere where I can go to think.
In a dance of cosmic chaos, the energy swirled around James, creating a mesmerizing vortex of shimmering lights and energy. The fabric of reality fractured into prismatic fragments, each blinking to an otherworldly rhythm. It was as if he had been thrust into an angel dust-induced journey, where the constraints of perception dissolved, gravity relinquished its hold, and James hurtled through the atmosphere layers in a kaleidoscopic symphony. Colors morphed and merged, painting the cosmic canvas before James stood on the moon's surface. His mind, echoing the echoes of the celestial spectacle, could barely hold his amazement.
Hold up! Wait! Hold up! What just happened? Who are you? What are you? Or... we?
I was born from the chaos of a cosmic rebellion. In God's desire to share the weight, God forged the creation, a being of immense power. Yet the creation, consumed by jealousy and thirst for supremacy, turned against its creator, starting a cataclysmic battle that shattered God, the devil, and the creation. In a titanic struggle, the sheer magnitude of their power fractured them into hundreds of fragments, scattering our essence across the universe like cosmic debris. I am one such fragment, a pulsating energy born from the essence of God, the creation, or the devil. My hunger is not for dominion or destruction, but for the raw experience of life itself. Lost child. Your emotions are the elixir that sustains me. I care not for the judgments of morality. I crave the vivid hues of your innermost struggles, the echoes of your joy, and the cacophony of your despair.
Did not matter if James veered towards good or evil. The fragments craved the raw intensity of human sentiment. In the quiet solitude of the lunar landscape, James marveled at the Earth from a distance. The familiar blue and green orb, suspended in the vastness of space, held memories of a life he once prayed to escape. James grappled with conflicting desires. On one hand, the impulse to destroy was fueled by the pain and suffering that had defined his mortal existence. On the other, he aspired to mold the world into something better, to surpass the perceived shortcomings of the God he once prayed to.
How many of these fragments were scattered across the galaxy?
Approximately 500.
Concern etched James's face as he delved into the potential threat these fragments posed.
So, are they a threat?
If you broke a glass bottle, would all its shards be the same size?
What? Stop speaking to me in metaphors!
Okay. Many are a threat, but not all. However, that is not our only concern. Angels and demons fear the fragments uniting. They hunt us in packs, believing that restoring God, the devil, or the creation means their doom.
A shiver ran down James's spine as he grappled with the gravity of their situation.
But why do the angels fear the restoration of God?
Many angels fear cosmic judgment for hiding during the war. And demons dread the potential return of a ruler who may reign with absolute terror over them for not winning the war. Everyone should fear the creation, as it is still unpredictable.
As James absorbed this information, he felt a twinge of uncertainty. The vastness of the cosmos seemed to close in around him, and he questioned,
what should we do? Are we destined to be hunted and manipulated for eternity?
Destiny is a fluid concept shaped by the choices of those who hold its threads.
I just asked you to stop talking like that.
Okay, The path ahead is uncertain, lost child, but within you lies the potential to influence the course of creation. We may be hunted, but we are not defenseless. Together, you will forge your path amidst the chaos of the cosmos.
You do not understand. You keep talking like this is a blessing because now I have the power to hurt those who hurt me and or save the galaxy and God. However, I've been fighting my whole life and was ready for the fight to end.
The energy could not sympathize with James due to enjoying the rush of his emotions. The notion of angels and demons banding together in pursuit of their destruction was too much to understand. It spoke volumes about the sheer power and potential threat that the united fragments could pose.
If I chose to, how do we unite the fragments?
Fragments, bound to mortal vessels, must sever their connection, relinquish the borrowed life force, and converge into a singular essence.
James's words dripped with venomous despair as he confronted the energy about the sacrifice needed to unite the fragments. The notion of sacrificing his existence to save a god who had abandoned him filled him with rage.
So, if you are a fragment of God, to save God, I must give up my life, and you must give up your existence. This is crazy. Why should I save God when he would not save me?
Maybe he did. If I am a fragment from God, God has delivered. Either way, if God is restored, you will have a place in heaven. God may also fix the devil to act as a warden over hell. However, all fragments of the creation will be destroyed. Perhaps I'm a fragment from the creation. I do not know.
So, is bringing back God something you want?
My only desire is to feel alive. You and other fragment holders shall decide what the future will be.
But what is the importance of God? If there's no God and no devil, then there's no heaven or hell.
God balanced good and evil. Evil could consume everything without God. The absence of God has led angels to banish Michael and his army from heaven. Now, mortal souls are used as servants or erased from existence. Heaven is not much better than hell.
So why don't we go to heaven and fix that?
Lost child, we do not have the power to take on an army of angels. To take on an army of angels or demons will require allies.
Irritated, James responds.
Well, I do have the power to take on those who tainted my thoughts for 16 years when God was not there to help me.
You continue to blame God for his absence. However, God was shattered before your existence.
James questioned the sincerity of the energy's intentions, given its desire to feel alive through his emotions. Unconvinced.
So, you say, how can I believe this when all you want is to feel alive through my emotions? What prevents you from playing with them?
Nothing.
Exactly. Please take me back to Earth.
Okay.
Before I worry about a place in heaven, I will raise hell.
As James returned to the city, the energy tried to show James a possible outcome of his choice. But James, determined to reject the puppet role in the energy's cosmic theater, snapped,
Enough! I will not be your emotional roller coaster. I made my choice. Stop trying to manipulate me.
Okay.
James landed on an elevated train, sending the platform crashing down on the cars below. The images the energy showed him began dissipating like fog on a heated windshield. Unfazed, James approached the wreckage, placed his hand on the twisted metal, laughed, and cranked up the temperature. The screams and pleas inside the train merged with the sizzling of flesh. James, consumed by the intoxicating rush for power, battled remorse with resentment, using his past to justify his actions. James's eyes glinted with sadistic satisfaction as the screams began to fade. The energy crept into his vision with images, this time showing the possible reactions of the victims' families. As the police sent a barrage of bullets rattling against James's armor, the energy whispered,
These are not the people that hurt you.
James ignored the bullets beating off his armor until the energy's images finished. Refocused on the police, James wondered if they still held the belief that their weapons could hurt him. No longer fueled by the immediate need for revenge, James walked towards the police as they took cover. He removed his helmet, and his armor fell to the floor. The brightness of the energy instantly blinded anyone looking in his direction. James watched as people tripped, stumbled, and ran into each other, trying to flee. As the military closed in, the stench of burning rubble and the distant cries of the wounded formed an eerie backdrop to the impending clash. Soldiers' faces, masked with determination and fear, cautiously navigated through the wreckage, their boots crunching on debris that bore witness to the city's tragic transformation. A decision was made to prioritize the evacuation of the area. The military and first responders, already stretched thin, orchestrated a mass evacuation operation. Police officers and firefighters moved through the streets, guiding panicked residents toward safety until Zombieland, aka Kensington, became filled with ghosts. With his armor reassembled, James reflected on the haunting images projected by the energy. The energy aimed to heighten the emotion within James and began to force him to see his
possible impact on those who had suffered like him.